What if God was one of us?
Just a slob like one of us.
us.
One of us. One of us. Google gobble, one of us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Call to the Bullpen podcast. This is episode 3 of season 2, and we are back. We're going to talk about a little bit of football today because we got the NFL draft coming up. We are recording on Tuesday, April 23rd, so we are 2 days out from the NFL draft. And we're got some playoff hockey going on. We might dabble in that a little bit, watching the Bruins game. And speaking of the Bruins game, oh no, that was a highlight. Never mind, sorry. So yeah, here we are. Jared, what do we got?
Well, yeah, we got things happening. Yeah, we got 2 Game 7s tonight, actually, in the NHL. We have Bruins and the Leafs, and then late game, we got the Sharks and the Golden Knights. So someone's moving on. Someone's going home for both sides.
Yep.
That's cool. But we're actually going
to play golf.
Yeah, someone's going to play golf. But we're actually going to kick off the show with some NFL draft talk because we're under 48 hours at recording time from the NFL draft. Of course, I actually admit that I won't be watching most of the first round live because I'm going to be in a movie theater. But nonetheless,
Avengers Endgame.
If there's any movie worth missing the NFL draft for, this is it. So, because I can't wait any longer. Because I'm gonna get spoiled. I'm gonna ruin it for myself. So I just got to see this thing as soon as possible.
Yep.
Yeah. But NFL draft. There's been some talk. I mean, it seems to me because obviously, mock drafts begin as early as the start of the season, which I think is utterly ludicrous because you haven't seen these prospects even play their most recent season before they go on the board. But nonetheless, people love to speculate, and it seems over the last few months that the top 3 are relatively set in stone. If you look at most mocks, I think, especially the top 2. I mean, with the way the Cardinals have shaken things up with the hiring of Cliff Kingsbury, everybody seems to think that they are grooming themselves to take Kyler Murray. And I think it would be a huge shock to just about everybody if they take anybody else.
So do you think they're going to trade Rosen before the draft, or do you think they'll take Kyler Murray even with Rosen still on the roster?
See, I think that they're going to have to take Murray with Rosen on the roster still, unless they could pull off some kind of awesome draft day trade, because you never know how emotions are going to be running. And we see this all the time, people swapping spots at the last minute. But so far, it seems to be that the Cardinals have not been able to move Rosen because their asking price is too high. The Giants.
Well, actually, from what I've heard, I think it was today, there was some reports coming out that they're willing to take even as low as a third-round draft pick for Rosen just to get him out at this point because there's literally no need for him. So, I mean, either you're going to bench him and pay him or you're going to just take whatever you can get at this point. If he's not your guy, just get rid of him,
See, I
have a hot take.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Oakland trades for him.
No, I don't think so at all.
No. Derek Carr is not the problem, and he's too.
Yeah,
I think he's a little too young to give up on, especially to give up on him for Josh Rosen. Like, no.
Yeah, and honestly, they've been running. For as short as this offseason has been, it's only what's the word I'm looking for? Voluntary, practices at this point. But they've groomed that offense and team to run with Derek Carr at least for this year. So I don't think anybody in. If Rosen goes anywhere, it'll be, I don't know, the Dolphins, maybe. That's where I could see him going is down to Florida.
But does Gruden like Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, he does?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I swear I've heard the opposite.
I mean,
I could be wrong.
You could hear everything about Gruden. Gruden's a moron. So I don't think Derek Carr is their issue. And like I said, they've been grooming that offense to run with Derek Carr. Derek Carr's already been throwing to Antonio Brown over there a lot, even just in this short offseason practice, like I said. So, I don't think Carr's going anywhere, at least for this year. Maybe sometime down the road. But Rosen's not an Oakland quarterback.
No. Gruden sent home all of his scouts.
He did because he said that he can't trust any of them. Sent home the entire scout, team, if you will, because he said that he can't trust any of them and what picks they should get.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
there's some craziness
Oakland,
going on over there.
it's funny. I guess on the this is a good segue because on the note with Oakland, the rumors are that they're going to make an unexpected selection at number four. Not now. This seems to indicate they are holding on to the pick because everybody, something like that comes out, people wonder if they're thinking about trading down. But I think for Oakland, especially in a draft that's not that heavy on talent, when you have three first round picks, why would you? I think that that's plenty. I don't think they need to move out of the four slot just to get an additional one. I think they should just stick with their high pick. But this does mean that they could be out of the mix for one of those top three premium pass rushers because make no mistake, this is definitely an edge rusher, front seven heavy draft. And it seems that the top three choices are Nick Bosa, Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams. So this seems to indicate the Raiders are not going to take one of those three if available.
Yeah, yeah. I mean it sounds like it makes sense. I mean, Oakland they need an edge rusher. They need a pass rush guy. Obviously getting rid of Cleo Mack last year did not help their defense in any way, shape, or form. But Oakland needs a lot. They also need a corner. They need some defensive backs. So it'll be interesting who they pick. There's definitely selection out there at number four. I mean, you got a couple hundred guys to choose from, and you're in the top five selections, so you could definitely get one of the top guys. Not to change off of the draft subject, but just because we are talking about edge rushers and teams that need edge rushers, there was a pretty big trade today in the NFL. I almost just said the San Francisco Seahawks. That would have made no sense. The Seattle Seahawks traded their franchise tagged D end Frank Clark to the Kansas City Chiefs. And to recap that deal, the Seahawks will get the Kansas City Chiefs 2019 first round draft pick, which is the 29th overall pick. And the two teams will swap their 2019 third round picks, and Seattle will also get Kansas City's 2020 second round pick. So again, a first round pick, a second round pick goes to Seattle, and the two teams swap third round picks. And then immediately after, Clark signed a 5-year, $105 million, like 64 mil guaranteed deal. So Chiefs locked up a top tier edge rusher long term, and Seattle got a couple good picks. I mean, you're talking about two first round picks in this draft. So now they have the 29th pick, which was Kansas City's, and they have their own, which is, if I can remember, I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it, the 21st. So they have the 21st and the 29th picks of this year's draft. Two first round draft picks for Seattle, which could use some guys themselves. So what do you think about that move, guys?
I'm a little torn on this move for Seattle. I don't think that it's a move that should be slammed on their part. I like this deal for Kansas City big time because after losing Dee Ford and Justin Houston, this is exactly the kind of premium pass rusher that they needed to add to that defense. And who knows, maybe he just gels with the guys better than those guys did because honestly, even having bodies like that on their defense, the defensive unit as a whole struggled to stop opposing offenses last season. So I think Frank Clark is young and he's super talented, and he was pretty much the standout on that Seattle defense last year. So it's a great get for Kansas City. They get a player who's in it for the long haul and could really be an impact sack happy guy on that D. But on the Seattle side, they lose their best pass rusher, but at the same time, I think that what Pete Carroll has shown is that he's really got this team disciplined very well, and I'm confident in their ability to, mold their guys going forward, whoever they wind up getting to replace Frank Clark, and how they spin those two first-round draft picks that they now have. Although they're both coming in the mid to late 20s because of both teams making the playoffs last season. So a lot of the premium pass rushers are going to be off the board, and the best players available in the first round by the time they're picking for either one of those slots, the best players available might not be pass rushers. So as far as getting a direct replacement in the first round, that might not happen, but they might be able to improve the team in other areas, whether it's, adding another receiver or bolstering the O-line a little bit. We'll see how they spin it, but I think that with Pete Carroll and his defense, after losing all those pieces to the Legion of Boom, the fact that he was able to still turn this into a winning team last year, I think shows that he has a Belichick-like quality in the sense that he's just able to get the most out of his players, and it's not about name value or star power so much, because you could argue they help make Frank Clark into what he's become.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, you have something?
All I'm gonna say is if Frank Clark wants to be liked in Kansas City, just stay on sides.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, no, Jared, you make some great points there. You know, the Chiefs definitely needed that pass rusher. And honestly, with the 29th pick in this draft, I couldn't see them getting a guy anywhere close to the caliber of Frank Clark. So I think it's a great move to get rid of this first round pick and get a guy like that in that caliber and skill level. So I definitely am, excited to see him over in Kansas City and help that defense. But they still need a lot of help. They still need a couple corners. They really don't have any help, on the D backs. They got Tyrann Mathieu now, so that'll help. That'll help in the safety aspect, and maybe he could drop down and help out the corners and cover them a little bit. But I still think they need a lot of help on that defense. So it'll be interesting to see. And I agree with everything you said about Seattle. So we will continue to talk draft here and move on from the regular NFL talk. So we already talked about the Cardinals and their potential trade of Josh Rosen and their pickup of Kyler Murray. San Francisco's, I'm assuming, going to go for an edge rusher. That would be my best guess.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I would
thinking
be.
they're going, a Quinn Williams or a Josh Allen off the rip. I don't see why they would go with anybody else.
No. Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa all day. He grades out as the top edge rusher in this draft. Yeah, absolutely. I think that Quinn Williams and Josh Allen are at that level as far as, those are the top three bodies, no doubt. But I think Bosa's the cream of the crop, and he's the best available. He had the best rep going in. Josh Allen, seems to be iffy on him for one reason or another. But I think that, I think that's why the Giants were interested in flipping Odell to the Niners for that second overall pick, because they probably would have taken this kid. So
Yeah,
I think the Niners knew that, and oh my gosh, they are going to, man, you look at the guys that they could have on that defense with adding Nick Bosa, the fact that they already signed Quan Alexander, they got DeForest Buckner in there. They're going to have to change their name to Sac Francisco.
Let's have a little fun. Predict the top 5 picks. I'm not going to bother with it.
Jared,
you
go
guys
ahead.
do it.
Top 5 picks?
Yeah.
Whew.
And do you think there's going to be a major move?
I don't.
Come on, put your balls in the line here.
Put my balls on the. Oh my gosh, I'm not good at predicting like draft day trades. But I will say that the Jets seem most likely of the top 5 to trade out of the top 5, because they need to kind of build a more complete roster as opposed to getting that one franchise-changing player. But for now, I'm gonna say Kyler Murray and Nick Bosa are set in stone for Cardinals and San Francisco, and I'm gonna go Jets Josh Allen and Raiders. Because Raiders, I would have said Quinn and Williams, but with all this talk now, I'm kind of curious as to what they might do to surprise people. So, let's go.
I keep hearing that Williams is like this superstar.
He's
that
great.
true?
He's great, but the thing is, like, people consider edge rushers a little bit more valuable, and he's an interior lineman.
Yeah, I know. As a Carolina fan, there's a lot of rumors that we're going to go after an edge rusher. I think there's someone from Clemson.
Yes, and I cannot remember his name off the top of my head right now. But yeah, no, I mean,
you might be thinking of Christian Wilkins.
Clemson. Clelin Farrell?
Maybe.
Cleland? I don't know.
Farrell. Yeah, the edge rusher. That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Very good.
I'll take it. We need that.
Very good. Yeah, no, he'll be good down in Carolina. So, yeah. So Jared, did you finish your 5 there? Because I'm going to rip my 5 if you have already.
You're right. I didn't finish my 5. Let's see. This is tough. All right, I'll tell you this. Actually, all right. Let's flip it with the Jets. I'm gonna say Jets Quinn and Williams, and Raiders Josh Allen, and with the Bucks, I'm gonna go because I think with the Raiders, like you have to answer for losing Khalil Mack. You got to get your edge rusher, and then the Bucks. I'm gonna give the Bucks Devin White because they need to make up for letting Quan Alexander walk.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a lot of sense to me. That seems to be.
Why don't you go as far to go in top 6 since we are both Giants fans and the Giants are the 6th pick?
So the Giants are gonna do so I'm being conservative with them, and I want them to get because there are a lot of great edge rushers in this draft, even outside those top 3 picks that we just named. But I see them going O-line. I think that with them recommitting to Eli Manning, I'm going to predict they get Jawan Taylor with the 6th pick. I don't want them to, but that's
my only question for that prediction is if they were looking to trade Odell for the number 2 pick to get an edge rusher, why would they then with the 6th pick take a offensive lineman?
Well, it's because and that was just speculation on my part, because for all we know, they could have also been considering Kyler Murray, although I don't. In hindsight, no, because of the Cardinals standing in their way. But to answer your question, I think that the Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen trio, those are 3 can't-miss defensive prospects. Once you move out of that category, you get into a bunch of really talented, promising kids, but ones that aren't quite at that level. So it's not like you absolutely have to take Rashawn Gary. And I think, even though I would like them to, I think that they're leaning O-line. I think that they're leaning going all in on Eli and blocking up front, letting Saquon run wild, and setting up passes for Eli in his last year or 2 with the team. So I think that they're missing one body, a right tackle, and I think that they're going to take their chance.
They also have the 17th pick, so why couldn't they then just get a right tackle that's halfway down the draft in the same exact spot and go with a guy like Ed Oliver? Because I know they were looking at Montez Sweat, but I've heard he's had some concerns with
condition.
With some medical conditions. So I think they're looking to pass on him. But what about an Ed Oliver guy? You're talking about a potential top 5 ranked player in this draft. I could see him going as a defensive lineman. Pick for the 6th pick, and then down at the 17th going for offensive line guy. Why not? There's plenty of offensive line guys in the top 17 picks that I'm sure people are going to leave.
Yeah, but Jawan Taylor is not expected to escape the top 10, and they might be thinking he's the best offensive line prospect available. So again, if you want to go all in on that aspect of your team, then I don't think that if that's what they want to do, I don't think that they will risk waiting for a guy like that or Jonah Williams, because I'm willing to bet that neither one of those guys will be available when the Giants are picking at 17. So would I love Ed Oliver or Rashawn Gary? Yeah, I actually hope they go that route. It's just that knowing this team, I keep thinking back to when they drafted Eric Flowers. I feel like they have the same mentality, and I see them going with Jawan Taylor.
Now, I have a question.
Good.
What are the chances they take Dwayne Haskins?
Nah.
No?
I don't see it happening.
I think that it was a lot of hype because the kid is from New Jersey. They were saying, oh, he's a perfect fit because he's from New Jersey. But from everything, unless Gettleman is bluffing everybody, I think that they're not in love with him, and I think Dwayne Haskins just looks better because this is a thin quarterback class.
So where do you think Dwayne Haskins goes?
Wait, one more question.
Oh, sorry, Kyle, you can go first.
Who is Jacksonville's quarterback? Could they take him?
They just paid a shit ton of money for Nick Foles.
They did.
Oh,
in fact.
Otherwise, hey, mid-season last year, very valid point, and I would have agreed with you, but they just paid a fuck ton of money for Nick Foles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you think, just to kind of answer my own question or give a little bit of argument for, fuel to the fire, do you think the Redskins take Dwayne Haskins, even though they have 9,000 quarterbacks on their depth chart? Granted, most of them are still hurt.
I think that are they're one of the handful of teams that I would say are most likely to land him. However, I think I could see the Dolphins picking him up before I see Washington picking him up, and they pick ahead of them. Also, the Bengals could be a contender to take him as well.
Okay, so since you talked about the Dolphins, if you were the Dolphins, would you go Dwayne Haskins or would you trade for Josh Allen? Or Josh Rosen, I'm sorry, Josh Rosen. There's two Josh Allens that I have to talk about now and a Josh Rosen, so I'm never going to get any of their names correct for which teams they play for. Just letting everybody know that.
Where did Miami trade Tannehill? Tennessee?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. So you asked Rosen or Haskins?
Pretty much, yeah. If you were the Dolphins, Rosen or Haskins?
That's a good question.
I'd say Haskins, because I don't want to have to trade any of my picks if I'm Miami. You're a team that is so devoid of talent right now that I think he's worth taking a chance on, because they're not picking inside the top 10, so they don't have to worry about taking any of those players at the skill positions ahead of Haskins. He might be one of the best players available at that time. So for a team that now they suddenly need a quarterback, because Fitzmagic is not the long-term answer, of course.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think there's really any teams in this top 10 that need a quarterback right now. The Bills got their guy, Broncos got Flacco, Bengals got their guy. Pretty much everybody here has a quarterback. I could see Green Bay maybe taking Drew Lock as a potential successor and backup.
No, it's too early for that. You can't listen. You take a quarterback when you believe that your starter is, you either need one right now or you think that you're going to need one within the next couple of years. And Aaron Rodgers, he's had some injuries throughout his career, but I don't think that he's within his final 2 or 3 years in the league. I think that he's got 6 or 7 left.
Okay, fair enough. So then where do you see a guy like Drew Lock going?
Drew Lock,
who needs a quarterback then?
Drew Lock could be Denver. Denver's another candidate for Haskins. Maybe it's
they just got. Granted, Flacco's definitely not a long-term answer, but they just got Flacco. So where's your argument on that same point you just put up?
I would say Haskins could be a long-term project like Aaron Rodgers was. Have him sit for a year, because I don't think Flacco is going to last more than a year in Denver.
He could be. I think Flacco's a year or two guy, but nothing more than that. I think that's enough time to. You could draft a quarterback and have. You do the exact same thing with Flacco that the Ravens did last year. Let him start the season, see how it goes, and if it's not going so well, put your rookie in.
Yeah. All right. Fair point.
Yeah, I think the Lions. The Lions have a good thing going right now with defense, so I totally see them taking a Rashawn Gary or Montez Sweat, one of those guys. Maybe Montez because
Sweat.
Yeah, because Sweat was a guy the Giants were heavily interested in until the medical thing came up. But if the Lions are in a position where Gary and Oliver are not available, because it would make a lot of sense for the Jaguars to. I'm thinking between Jags, Lions, Bills. That's where you'll see those second-tier defensive players go, and possibly the Giants. Although, like I said, I see the Giants going O-line.
Fair enough. So I think we talked about a lot here. I think I like that breakdown, and why don't we get into some baseball? What do you say?
Sure, yeah. I guess real quick, one last thing. If the Giants are going to go quarterback, I could see them going Daniel Jones and with that second first-rounder, because that's a guy that you could probably let slip. But because, there's been talk about getting Eli's successor. He has some connections to the Manning family because he's from Duke and the coach and everything like that. So that's the last musing on the draft. I could see them going, mid-first round or second round with Daniel Jones.
Very good.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the sport with the stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baseball. Hockey? If anyone's wondering, Boston is up 3-1 currently. You'll know this by the time this is released because the game will be over, but just letting you know. So,
hence my quietness.
Kyle's quietness. He is a Boston fan. I don't think we've actually ever told anybody. Kyle is a Yankee fan for baseball, Bruins fan for hockey, a Panthers fan for football. And what basketball team do you like this week?
Knicks for now.
The Knicks for
We'll
now?
see if they get Zion. If
Okay,
not,
good.
then with
He does change teams every 3.5 days, and he has since the day I met him. So just be aware.
Well, just basketball.
Just basketball, yeah. Weren't you a Hurricanes fan at some point?
No, no. Hurricanes. I mean, I pull for them because of the whole Carolina.
Yeah,
thing.
because of the whole Carolina and the connection to the Hartford Whalers. Rest in peace. So, anyways, let's move on to baseball.
Let the kids play.
Let the kids play.
Let the kids
All right,
play.
here we go. We're gonna start off with this freaking argument.
Let the kids play.
All right,
Great motto.
So,
But nobody buys into it.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get this whole narrative. This whole for anyone who's wondering what we mean by let the kids play, if you haven't seen the commercial, go look it up. There's
Great commercial.
It's a great commercial. It's a commercial of the 10 or 12 best, I'd say, hitters. I think they were all batters.
Well, I
don't think
have
they
a quick
were
question
hitters.
about that commercial.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where is Mookie Betts?
I don't even remember who was at the panel other than Judge, Stanton,
Lindor,
Trout,
Stanton.
and Lindor.
Judge, yeah, Trout.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Maybe
Like, I think
someone else.
Rizzo was up there too. I mean, let's just say it's the top 10 hitters or
but
10
how do you
faces of
not
baseball,
include
whatever.
the
It doesn't even matter
MVP?
who it was. So, long story short, they go down the panel of, how many home runs are you going to hit this year? One guy says, 15. Next guy says 25. And they start getting a little ridiculous. Stanton's like, or Judge goes, I'm going to hit, 50. The next guy says, I'm going to hit 70, 80, 90. And they're like, well, Mike Trout, what do you think? He's like, I don't know. Why don't you just let the kids play? Like, let's just have fun. Let's enjoy this season. Who
Great
cares about
commercial.
stats? Who cares about this? Let the kids play. Let the kids get out there. Let them hit the ball around. Let them have some fun. Make this year enjoyable. Fantastic. No problem. All right, so now comes the bat flips. Start of the season. People are hitting home runs. People are celebrating coming down the line. Whatever.
It's
Fantastic.
fun. It's great.
It's fun.
Watchable.
It hits that let the kids play narrative. And then you have situations where pitchers don't enjoy when batters celebrate when they hit home runs off of them, and they hit them on their next at bat. Hence this situation with Tim Anderson and who the hell hit him? I don't even remember now.
I can't
Was
think
it
of
a
his name.
Royals
He
pitcher or
is-
something
was
like
it
that?
Keller or something.
Yeah.
Does not matter. He is irrelevant.
Correct.
Okay, this is baseball talk now. I'm fired up.
Exactly.
You have pitchers like him and pitchers like Chris Archer, who when they strike your ass out, they will dance and scream and everything else.
Absolutely.
But the second someone hits a bomb off them and stares for a second and does a cool bat flip, your next at bat is
all right.
beanball.
So I just have to say, Anderson stood there, watched it, turned to his dugout, grabbed the bat by the end of it, and launched his bat towards his own dugout. I mean, this wasn't like he didn't just drop his bat, he didn't flip his bat, he hurled his bat 40 feet towards his dugout. I'm not saying it was excessive. I'm just saying it was one of the more dramatic bat flips, other than Toronto, Jose Bautista.
Bautista
Other
in the
than Jose
playoffs.
Bautista's, moonshot of a bat flip a couple years back, this was one of the most ridiculous. So I get it. You're on the mound, you give up a home run, you see a guy stand there, showboat, throw his bat. You don't want to be shown up. I understand. The issue is not with me with the pitcher. The issue with me is with the MLB. It's let the kids play, but let's not tell pitchers that we're going to allow these players to bat flip and celebrate and have a good time just as much as we're allowing pitchers when you strike out a guy with, two guys on in a one-run game in the bottom of the eighth with 2 outs. You strike out that third guy and you fist bump, you throw your feet in the air.
Jabba Chamberlain.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Jabba Chamberlain, he always had that big fist bump. But guys do it. Guys strike guys out. They put their glove over their mouth. They yell, fuck yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. If you're going to celebrate and the batter's going to celebrate, it's got to be mutual. It's got to be you can do it, I can do it to a certain extent, just like football. Football, you score a touchdown, you celebrate. If you do it too much, you get a flag. Randy Moss goes up and moons the crowd. They throw a 15-yard penalty. All right, I get it. You can celebrate to an extent, and if you celebrate too much, there's going to be a penalty, a fine, whatever. However, it can't be the pitcher hits the batter, and then the pitcher gets the same amount of suspension as the batter. And I don't even remember who this pitcher was. Again, let's just call him Joe Schmo for now. Joe Schmo hits Tim Anderson. Big fight breaks out. Brawl breaks out. Anderson gets suspended for reasons that we're not going to get into. He allegedly said something. Nobody's really exactly sure what. And we're not going to get into what was said because we're just not going to talk about that.
No point in speculating.
Exactly. So I'm not going to even speculate, like Kyle just said, what he said. Regardless, that was the MLB's reasoning for suspending him for one game. It wasn't even for charging them. He didn't even charge them out, but it wasn't even for getting in a fight. It wasn't for, enticing a fight, whatever. The pitcher gets suspended for 5 games, which seems more than Tim Anderson. Pitchers only pitch once every 5 games. So Joe Schmo gets suspended for 1 game for hitting Tim Anderson for doing something the MLB is telling him is perfectly fine by letting the kids play. And Tim Anderson gets suspended for the exact same amount of time.
It's not even a suspension. He basically gets 1 extra day off.
Correct. He gets 1 day off. And then they're going to start him on the 6th day anyways.
Yeah.
So he's not even really missing a start. They're going to make one guy start twice on a 4-day span, and he's going to start on the 6th day. It's a
You're
joke.
actually helping him in a way.
Literally. It's a joke. I mean, the fact that you're going to have this narrative of let's all have fun and have a good time. Bat flipping is cool. Fist bumping is cool. When you hit a walk-off home run, running down the third base line and throwing your helmet in the air and having people dump Gatorade on you, perfectly fine. But as soon as the pitcher hits the batter, they get the same amount of suspension. No. Tell the pitcher they can't hit the batter. And if they do hit the batter, they're suspended for 2 starts, 3 starts. I'm not saying 5 games. I'm saying if you start once every 5 games, you cannot start 3 of those starts. You're suspended for 3 weeks. I don't give a shit. Whatever it is, even if it's 1 start, 2 starts, fine. Then make it an issue that the team now has to deal with. Now the pitching rotation is shortened. You're down to 4 guys on, say you're on a team with 4 starters. Now you're down to 3 starters in a 5-game span. So now you're bringing bullpen guys in to start games, or you're starting guys on 2 or 3 days rest. Now, if you make it an issue, these coaches are going to hold their pitchers accountable. You want to hit people, fine. It's part of the game. If somebody slides hard into your second baseman and takes him out, or runs your catcher over, and you want to plunk him your next at bat, more power to you. But you cannot, the MLB cannot allow pitchers to hit batters because of something the MLB is saying is okay.
Oh, God, it's complete bullshit. I mean, look, you look at the state of the MLB right now with so many star players on the disabled list for various teams, and you've got pitchers intentionally throwing at hitters. Like, are you serious? You're gonna punish the batter for the same punishment is doled out to both players, and like you just said, it impacts the everyday player, the batter, far more than it does the pitcher. It's completely ridiculous. The pitcher, at minimum, is ejected at that point with no mutual consequence to the batter. I don't care. Like, being happy and celebrating is not the same as intentionally trying to hurt somebody.
You are absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Like you said, baseball is very lucky right now. A lot of star players, a lot of young star players. You can't look at Clint Frazier. He's just now breaking out because of all the concussions he dealt with last year. Imagine if someone gives Mike Trout a concussion, he has those issues. That's bad for baseball.
Oh, absolutely. Or, God forbid, Clint Frazier hits a home run, bat flips, somebody throws at him, hits him in the head. Now he's either got medical conditions for the rest of his life, he's out of baseball, or something far worse.
How about Giancarlo? Giancarlo, when he got plunked in the head and he nailed, like, that could have been the end of his career. Could have been the end of his life.
Perfect example.
Well,
granted, that wasn't
on
intentional.
purpose. Yeah.
Correct. Sorry, Kyle, you can go ahead.
No. I'm just gonna say the same thing as you. That was unintentional. Although sometimes you wonder that last year when Fears threw at him again. Fears or Fires?
Fires, I think. Yeah.
Mike Fires, whatever.
Yeah.
He threw up and in again, and Stanton was pissed.
And then Stanton homered
on him. And that was
cool. But a situation like that where a guy like Stanton gets hit in the face, and you know what? It's actually kind of interesting because since Stanton wore that face guard, which Kyle, you can attest for this. I was wearing that face guard when I was like 12.
Yep.
I wore that thing my entire life, and I mean, you're talking 15 years ago. I started wearing. Now it's becoming.
It's regular,
relevant.
I think it's going to be a fixture in a couple of years.
I don't think it'll be. It's like the NHL. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to wear a face shield.
The veteran players can decide if they want to or not.
That's what I mean.
Grandfathered in.
Correct.
With the guys now,
All right.
Everyone wears a visor.
All right, fair enough. So that makes sense, but maybe the same thing will happen in baseball. You've been in baseball for 4 or 5 years, and you get to choose whether you want to wear it or not, and maybe the younger guys have to wear it. I don't think it's completely necessary. I think the amount of times, if you look at the statistics of pitches thrown in the MLB and pitches that hit batters in the head in the MLB, it's probably 0.01. I mean, it's so minimal in comparison to the total number of pitches thrown in the MLB. I'm not saying even one time is okay. However, I think people getting hit in the face with a hockey puck is probably happens more often than people getting hit in the head with a baseball. But I do like to see the fact that guys are now wearing the face guard, if you will, on a regular basis, because look at Stanton. He gets hit in the face, and I mean, he's had a dozen surgeries because of it. And, I wouldn't want to get up there and face a 100-mile-an-hour fastball after I got hit in the mouth. And I've been hit in the head. I had my helmet crack in half in fucking college because somebody hit me right in the head. It sucks. Granted, I didn't get hit in the jaw and break it and have a bajillion surgeries, but still, it sucks. So it is nice to see guys like, newer guys and younger guys, even some veterans now wearing a face guard like that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But anyways, back to the whole let the kids play thing. I just, like I said, I think it's ridiculous that the MLB has this narrative of let's all have fun, let's have a good time. Bat flips are cool, fist bumps are cool, selling's cool, but are not going to tell the pitchers, hey, listen, if somebody bat flips, you can't hit them. If you want to, fine. Hit them. You're getting suspended. And it can't, like I said, it can't be, oh, you're suspended for 5 games and you just start on the 6th day. That's not a suspension. You slept in. That's all that is. You got to stay home and not ride, the 4-game, trip down to DC from Toronto, whatever. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You have to miss time, solid time, if you're going to do that for a narrative that the MLB is pushing. This isn't like, okay, guys, you could do what you want. Like, they're putting commercials out saying, let's all have fun. Let's make this a kid-friendly game again. Then you're going to have pitchers hitting players and then fights breaking out. It's not good.
Yeah, like you said. And the reason baseball started this was they wanted more kids playing the sport. They want more kids watching the sport. And truth is, and I can show you facts from Wall Street Journal that came out, Major League Baseball came out themselves, The Athletic. Baseball at the grassroots level, it's actually doing really well again. It's thriving again. It's actually, like, between baseball and softball, the most participated sport in America for kids. That's fantastic. Good. Build on that. Wonderful. If you start having pitchers do all this crap, it's just a bad look. Get rid of it. Get it out of the game. It really is that simple. Get it out. I understand there's so many old school players, but listen, they got to change their mindset.
Exactly. And if not, suspension. Simple as that.
Yep.
Fine them.
Agreed.
Fine them, suspend them, don't care. But, again, you want to hit somebody for sliding hard into your star second baseman or shortstop. Somebody slides hard into, third base and blows up Chris Bryant's knee. You bet your ass you're getting hit. I'm sorry, because you didn't have to do that. But if you're going to bat flip and then hit somebody for bat flipping, it's not a thing. It's not okay. I'm not saying take out everybody getting hit. I'm just saying you can't hit people for bat flipping.
Imagine if defensive backs in football went headhunting on guys who scored touchdowns, like a wide receiver or something. It would get real.
Yeah.
Real
well, look at
ugly.
all the bounty gate stuff. Granted, that was just hurt people and you'll get paid for it. But, no, you're absolutely right. But again, it brings me back to my point of NFL. You score a touchdown, you selly, it's a little too excessive, you get a penalty. Maybe the same thing in baseball. Bat flips are cool, but you start doing handstands down the field, it's excessive. So, at some point it's got to be slow down a little bit. Like I said, I think Tim Anderson's bat flip was a little much. If you go and look at the video, he grabbed this bat by the bottom of it and vaulted his bat like a javelin towards his dugout. And there's, Selling's cool though. Like I said, it's have fun. I watched a video today. Barstool Sports actually shared it. Kid hits an absolute moonshot home run. He was probably playing, AAU travel ball or high school ball or something. He starts jogging down the first base line. First base coach goes to hand off a football to him, pulls it back like a play action pass. Kid hits first, goes to round to second base, and the coach throws a play action, dumb pass on a wheel play down to the kid running down the first base line. So it's fun. Again, we're sitting here laughing, talking about a fun celebration. That wasn't excessive, but now you have him on his next at bat. and you see, a high school or college player sees the MLB pitchers hitting guys for celebrating. Now he's on the mound. Kyle, you hit a home run and I'm on the mound. You sally like that going down the first base line. And now I get on the mound thinking it's okay to plunk people. So now I hit you, and, I'm not the most accurate thrower in the world. You know that. I aim for your back, but I hit you in the back of the head and give you a concussion or knock you out. Now you're talking about assaulting people. So it's something's got to change.
All right, well, let's change it up.
Not fun.
Bashing everything.
Absolutely.
And speaking of people getting hurt, let's talk about Aaron Judge.
Come on. I'm in a good mood.
Well,
Seriously, I'm not kidding. All right, so everybody who's gotten hurt so far, as a fan, I'm like, all right, this really sucks. Move on. Judge got hurt. It hurts. He's become the guy. He's the face of the franchise. As a fan, I was like genuinely depressed for a while.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But hey, listen, what can you do? And
it just sucks, man. Like all these goddamn strains and everything. Like I really wonder, like, what is wrong with our strength and conditioning staff? Because every single injury so far has been something that seemingly could be prevented with proper game preparation. Apart from Andujar's freak shoulder tear, no one should be tearing their shoulder labrum sliding back to third base. Like that's just dumb. But everything else, it just seems to be, come on. Gary goes on the DL with a sore calf. Stanton with a bicep strain. Hicks with chronic back problems. I don't know what it seems like he's got a back or oblique every single season. And then Judge with an oblique strain. It really just seems like it's got to be more than a coincidence.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It seems like not proper stretching, or listen, I'm not a physical therapist, I'm not a physical trainer, I'm not a baseball trainer. I don't know anything really medically about the human body, but stretch and drink some fucking water. I just don't get it. I don't know how everyone under the sun is pulled oblique, pulled quad, pulled this, pulled asshole. I don't know, man. Like, do something that you aren't going to just get, hurt for 6 to 8 weeks because of a pulled quad or a pulled oblique. Accidents happen. People get hurt. I understand that. It just seems like, Gary Sanchez, his back hurts. All right, you're a catcher. Everyone's back hurts. Drink some water, take some Advil, and go back behind the dish. It just seems absolutely ridiculous that everyone is getting hurt like this. It's insane.
Do you believe these players are training too hard?
It could be that also. It could be they're lifting too hard and in the body, the human body.
Not to cut you off, but that is what happened with Syndergaard. He got too swole and had the lat tear. As a pitcher, what are you getting that jacked up for?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Training for the next Avengers movie, bro.
You see it, Yes Network.
Come on, I didn't even get a laugh out of that.
I don't.
It was a Thor reference. His nickname
I'm sorry.
You don't know that Syndergaard's nickname is Thor?
Yeah, I know that.
He's jacked and he has long blonde hair and looks like Thor.
No, Austin. I don't think that Kyle knows that Thor is an Avenger.
Oh, that's fair.
I had no idea. Is that a Mickey Mouse character? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, no.
I can tell you Mickey Mouse character is
the
my
Great
son.
Bambino. Oh, I thought you said the Great Bambi.
I fucking love that movie.
You mean that's the same guy?
Oh man. But I lost track.
Yep.
We're talking about players getting too jacked in baseball.
Yeah, that's right. Because the Yes Network, they're always showing Stanton's workouts, Voigt's workouts. It's it's impressive, but you don't need that kind of body for baseball. You need flexibility. You need mobility. I don't know, man. I think they're overdoing it and they're hurting their own bodies.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. If it's a player decision, if it's lack of the coaches taking the proper accountability, but it's just so frustrating, man. Because Sanchez is coming back tomorrow. The Frazier thing is supposedly minor, and Stanton is supposed to be back within the next week. So if Judge is healthy, now you're thinking, all right, we got all the big boppers back, and LeMahieu is doing fine in Andujar's place, and you've got Urshela, who's surprisingly doing okay, and then you're just waiting on Hicks at that point. So then it looks like, okay, it's not so bad. We got through it. But then it's like, this is a setback because Judge is probably going to be out for a month.
Judge is going to be out for more than a month.
I don't expect him till August.
It's
Absolutely.
an oblique strain. You really think he's going to be out for 4 months?
It's a severe oblique strain.
But it's just
and
a
even
strain.
Boone said they have. Yeah. All right, Jared. Look up a severe oblique strain and tell me what the time frame on it is.
Injuries, dude. It's tough.
It's 4 to 6 weeks at a normal oblique strain.
And even when you come back, you're still not totally right.
I thought that
Absolutely.
4 to 6 weeks was high end.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. It's not good.
This is just like one awkward swing destroys his season.
Yep.
Well, once he gets it right, and he will get it right before the playoffs. I'm just hoping we get there at this
Playoffs, man. We need him before then.
You got to win a game first.
Another game.
Another game. They did win in 14 freaking innings last night.
I stayed up for that entire. I was blowing Austin's phone up.
Seriously, I laid in bed, watched until the 10th, fell asleep. Woke up during the 12th, fell asleep. Woke up in the 13th, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm going to sleep." Turned it off, and then I get like 19 text messages in a row. Holy shit, they won! I'm like, "Bro, it's 2:30 in the morning. Leave me alone."
You want to hear how sick I am? So I'm watching the game, and it's about the 12th inning, maybe the 13th. I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. I have work. I got to be up at 6:30. I lay in bed and instantly start streaming the game.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
No, Kendall my wife was awake.
Oh God.
She has heartburn because of the pregnancy, and she was like, "Yeah, all right."
This is my husband. This is Kyle. Pretty much. Sorry, I was laying in bed. Sarah was snoring while I was watching it. So.
Are you serious?
What?
I wasn't snoring.
You were snoring.
I don't snore.
You snore. Anyways, so yeah, the Yankees are riddled with injuries. Bruins just won their Game 7, so they're moving on to the next round here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, on the subject of the Yankees, man, like they're not fooling anybody with this Jacoby Ellsbury stuff. I mean, when Boone's like, he's had some things that have come up. Oh, things? What kind of things? You want to share those things with us? Are those things we don't want him to play because he sucks?
Yeah, he drank too many mojitos on his beach house in Maui.
Oh my gosh! Come on.
You're paying this guy God knows how much money, and he's still just sitting on his ass.
He's not hurt.
I forget that he even plays baseball anymore. That's how irrelevant he is.
He doesn't.
I just, well, you know what I mean. I forget that he's even employed by a baseball team. He's just what a joke. I hate this guy. Let's just move on because he just makes me angry.
Yeah.
It's comical.
It is.
And I'm telling you right now, Boone brought Ellsbury up to kind of like try to make people laugh.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Because he said it. He mentioned Ellsbury right after Judge, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just more, at this point, it's just a joke.
I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Boone, but I remember my dad calling me, and it was during a spring training like press conference or something. And somebody asked, I want to say it was Boone, but I don't want to quote the wrong person. But they asked somebody of the Yankee management team, what the ETA on Ellsbury was, and if they thought he could stay healthy if he came back. And their response was, yeah, maybe if we wrap him in bubble wrap, which is true. Because you got to put him in center field, wrapped in bubble wrap, or he's going to, I don't know, run into the air and blow out his knee. I just don't understand.
He's going to trip over a ladybug and break every bone in his body.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a joke. It's a joke, man.
Anyways,
you know what's interesting?
Bullpen. The bullpen's been better, except for Green. Green's been absolutely atrocious.
What happened to Ottavino the other day?
Okay. It was one bad outing.
He was good yesterday.
One bad outing. He was great yesterday.
Yes. The biggest
all season he's been good. It was one bad outing.
Correct. The biggest rotten apple is Chad Green.
Absolutely.
Everybody else has had their moments where it's like, Chapman blowing the save last night, but overall he's been pretty good. You can let it go. Green
got out of a shitty situation a couple days ago, yes. On Easter or Sunday there.
Yes, he did. Green is atrocious.
So bad.
It feels like Chase and Shreve all over again, but at least we think Chad Green could be good again, type of thing. Jonathan Holder bounced back nicely last night. Got 6 outs. So that's positive. I'm assuming we won't have him tonight in about a half hour. Who else?
Sessa,
Britton's battling.
even
Sessa did a nice job.
even Sessa and Canley, like kind of the unsung.
Yeah.
Tommy Tight Pants.
Tommy Tight Pants.
He looked good last night. Yeah. No, I was impressed with him.
I think that they and they're going to be set up nicely because I mean, damn man, like Domingo's actually been pretty solid. He's going to get the start tonight, and you're at a point where I mean he could be a really great middle long relief asset when Severino comes back, because I don't know what they're going to do about that fifth starter role. As far as I actually think that, I mean, if Domingo keeps this up, it almost warrants him starting over CC, but I don't know if you want to kind of plan on using them as a tandem, because you know CC doesn't really have the stamina to get through more than 5 innings at this point. So Domingo and him are just going to kind of be paired together, and he's going to bridge the team to the 7th inning. In an ideal scenario, they could do something like that.
Yeah. But
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, in Boone's trying his best, I just don't like Boone. Honestly, I think he's an idiot. I think everything he does, he's stupid. The lineups, the bullpen,
terrible.
everything he does is stupid.
Bullpen.
So, but, they're doing their best as a team right now. And the fact that we have a double-A, Trenton Thunder playing in the Bronx, to see them even winning games right now is relatively impressive. And the bullpen's been good. The pitching staff's been good. CC's been great. Tanaka's been pretty good.
Hap was good.
Hap was great.
I'll give it to him.
Hap was good. And Paxton the other day, I mean, Paxton threw a fucking gem, man. 2 straight starts, 12 strikeouts, both starts.
Most important thing with these starters is the fact that over the last week and a half, you've gotten to a point where you've got 3 starters that can be depended on for 6 or 7 innings. None of this 4 or 5 inning horse shit. Yeah. Tanaka, Paxton, Hap are pitching like starting pitchers in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Paxton seeing that sports psychiatrist, whatever it was.
Whatever.
Good for him.
Yeah, whoever that is, give her or him a raise, because...
And have the entire team go see him.
Yeah, exactly. Have everybody that's hurt go see
Chad
him
Green,
or
get
her.
your ass over there.
Correct, because whatever he or she did was an absolute gem to James Paxton, so thank you from all of us fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the team's got a lot of depth. Pitching staff, thankfully, has stayed healthy, aside from, they're missing Betances and they're missing Severino, but the guys in their place are really picking up the slack and keeping this team in games. And you know what's crazy? For a team with this many injuries, when everybody does get healthy mid-season, they're going to have a very overcrowded roster, because if you get to a point where where the whole infield and outfield gets healthy, you've got Frazier and LeMahieu, who were not on the opening day lineup, LeMahieu was because of the Didi injury, but I'm talking about when Didi gets healthy,
Jared.
To work in LeMahieu and Clint Frazier. What's the game plan?
Jared.
Yeah.
Do you actually believe at any point in this season we're going to have an overflow of players? Do you actually believe there's going to come a point in this season
let's
where
say
everyone's
hypothetically, hypothetically everybody's healthy?
We're talking about 3 months from now.
Hypothetically, well, we got to see what happens. We got to make sure Clint Frazier isn't just going on a hot streak. I'll say one thing. DJ LeMahieu and Gio Urshela are way better defensively at third than Andujar.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's kind of been a plus.
Yeah.
We miss his bat, obviously.
Yeah.
Although DJ is hitting the shit out of the
DJ's
ball.
been hitting 300 plus all season.
So
he's hitting over 400 at one point.
It could be Andujar who might need to work his way back into the lineup.
Trade him.
Well,
no.
Well,
actually, you know what? We're not going to go into that now.
Listen, you guys got
out of the realm of possibility. But
I start arguments.
You got to consider the fact that Andujar, although the defense has been suspect so far, the guy is just over a year into his MLB career, and that's another thing. Age-wise, DJ LeMahieu's playing great, but I'm pretty sure he's, 30, 31 at this point?
I know someone who we can get rid of.
Who?
Starts with a Greg and ends with a Bird.
That doesn't help anybody, though.
It helps us not have Greg Bird on our roster.
No, yeah, I agree with you, and it's funny to say get him off the team, and I agree with you, but, that's already been accounted for.
We're probably going to need him again.
That's already been accounted for, because he's already been I think that he's already been bounced anyway because of the way everybody else has been playing. So let's look at a healthy Yankees. This is like, at this point looking like a pipe dream. But a healthy Yankees, Voit at first, Glaber second, Didi at short, third base, Andujar. Let's just say Andujar.
No, Andujar DH, DJ third, Gio as the utility guy, Stanton left, Hicks center, Judge right.
Where does Frazier
and
play?
Sanchez behind the plate. I think Frazier unfortunately becomes the odd man out, but I'll tell you what, he's gonna play a ton.
Yeah, he becomes the
Garner could be the one
he
that
becomes
really
the rotate out and give guys day off batter, I guess.
That's horrible.
I don't know.
Look at the way he's playing.
Okay, but Kyle's right. What if it's a hot streak? What if he falls off? Or flip it. What if Andujar can't hit to save his life for a couple weeks? You stick Frazier in the DH spot. It's not a horrible situation to be in, having too many good hitters.
Let's worry about that when the time comes. It's that simple, because I don't even think that time is going to come.
Yeah, you might have a point. There might be, for right now we need all we can get out of everybody because Frazier didn't even start tonight. They said that he's available off the bench to pinch hit, so I'm not panicking.
Listen, we're at the point now. We have Brett Gardner batting third. We have Austin Romine as like our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Austin Romine has been our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So you know what?
Everything else,
I'll take it.
Let's just wait.
Listen, man, we're winning baseball games right now.
They're 12-10 with a team that should be 7-15.
Seriously, it's actually pretty crazy.
One of the best farm systems in baseball.
Yeah, literally. We're playing with the freaking...
You know what, though? You know who deserves credit? And I've bashed him a little bit on here. Brian Cashman. Where does he... Okay. Mike Tauchman.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
He's playing some baseball.
Tauchman's playing well.
You got him for a deal, I think his name was, the pitcher?
Yeah.
But
David
it
Deal
feels
or whatever
like
his name was.
A little bit
was that the offensive lineman for the
Giants?
Giants?
Yes, he was. Yes. Dumbass.
But Tauchman... It feels kind of like the Luke Voit trade. A guy who nobody believed in, who could be a bit of a player in this league.
Luke Voit is the most jacked baseball player I've seen in my entire life. Oh, it's cool.
I'm surrounded. On age, right? 30 plus games now?
Maybe. I can't.
He got a couple, at least one in the home run yesterday. Yeah, I think it's 33 or 34 games now.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Kyle, you and him kind of look alike.
Minus the jacked part, and Kyle's got a beer belly.
Yeah, let's talk about the Chris Davis extension.
Yeah, Chris Davis with a K and not a C. The good Chris Davis. Actually, the other Chris Davis, the other white meat.
Wow.
Yeah, the Orioles' Chris Davis not started pitching, but he was on the bump the other night because the Orioles were losing 16-4. So they brought in Chris Davis, and he struck a guy out. Would you imagine that? Hey, he's got a home run and a strikeout on the bump this year.
Maybe his calling was pitching.
That's what I said to my dad. I said $96 million, put him in the fucking bullpen.
The most productive thing he's done is strike a dude out. Yeah.
What a joke of a career. Anyways, Chris Davis with a K signed a 2-year extension with Oakland. I honestly don't remember the number. Not the end of the world, but it was actually a pretty big number. I think it was somewhere around 50. I could be wrong, but I feel like I saw 50 million.
I think I'm wrong, but I want to say it was 2 years, 33 million.
All right, I'm going to look it up.
I think total.
Yeah. Either way, which is weird for Oakland because usually they don't shell out big cash for guys. So it was actually pretty interesting.
He loves it there.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, absolutely no problem. If you love it where you are, fire away. Chris Davis will earn $16.75 million in each of the next 2 seasons under the new contract agreed to last week. So you were close. It was 33.5 in guaranteed money for 2020 and 2021. So
surprised I remembered that.
Yeah, that was a great guess. I don't know why I saw 50 at some point, but regardless, so they locked him up. Just a couple of minor league moves for the Yankees. They signed Logan Morrison to a minor league contract.
He's
an
punk.
asshole. So,
he was okay. So hold on, let me get this off my chest. He was bitching about Gary Sanchez making the All-Star game. Making the home run derby because he had more home runs than him. Well, he conveniently left out the part that that season when that happened, Gary missed like the first month or month and a half of the season.
That's not even the part that pisses me off most about Morrison. He called Yankee fans dumb. How can you sign him?
Yeah.
Because we're running with a group of paraplegics right now. What do you want?
I think Cashman may have forgot about that, and that's why he signed Brad Miller.
Yeah, probably.
Which
Or he just knows that Logan
gloat here for a
Morrison's not
second.
going to get anywhere, so they signed a second guy because they're going to dump him anyways.
I'm going to gloat here for a second. I told Austin like 2 weeks ago Yankees should sign him.
You did, in fact. Texted me and said the Yankees should sign Brad Miller. And then 2 weeks later said the Yankees listened to me and signed Brad Miller.
I think Brian Cashman listens to this podcast.
That would be interesting. Brian Cashman, if you're listening to Call to the Bullpen podcast, set us up a studio in Yankee Stadium.
And fire your medical staff.
And fire your medical staff, exactly. Oh, Jesus. Unbelievable. Yankees had signed Gio Gonzalez to a minor league contract in the offseason, just as precaution, I guess. But ironically, with all the injuries, our pitching staff isn't our issue right now. So he opted out of his 1-year contract. The Yankees had 48 hours to either get rid of him or bring him to the major league roster officially. And they did the first, which was release him. So Gio Gonzalez is a free agent, if anybody's wondering, which they're not because he's Gio Gonzalez.
He could be heading to the Mets.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like when he, my coworker who's a Mets fan, he was both of us were skeptical about Gio making the Yankees major league roster. And he kind of half jokingly said a few weeks ago, oh, maybe he won't make the cut and then the Mets will scoop him up because that's what the Mets do. And lo and behold, as he's exiting the Yankees, who's the first team linked to him? The Mets.
Mets. The Bears.
He does know the NL East, so there's that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Crazy.
I'm blanking out. I was about to talk about Vlad Jr.
Vlad Jr.
Oh,
there you go.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Probably the biggest prospect in baseball in a very long time.
I was just going to say he could be the most hyped prospect ever. And that's a lot because we had Harper.
Well, Harper wasn't even really a prospect. Harper was like...
He was a known star.
Harper was like, we know you're gross. You're going to play in the minor leagues out of principle for like a couple months, and then we're going to bring you up to the
Chris
majors.
Bryant was...
Yeah, I was about to say Chris Bryant was the exact same way.
That's fair.
Formality.
But I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been in the minor leagues for a few years now. And he's gross. I mean, he's absolutely incredible. He just hits the hell out of the ball. His stats are fucking unreal. He plays great defense.
He's going to be bat flipping a lot.
Fire away. If your last name's Guerrero and your father was Vladimir Guerrero, you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm sorry. If he's half as good as his father, he's still going to be disgusting in the major leagues. Yep. Like, I'm excited to see this guy come up, and he's with Toronto.
He's going to not even just the Blue Jays, not even just Toronto. He's going to light a fire in all of Canada.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they're going to love him there.
Maybe they'll bring the Expos back.
I would love to.
Absolutely not. The Expos are irrelevant. Actually, they're not.
Hey,
they're the Washington Nationals.
I bet you the Expos would still today be a relevant franchise if it wasn't for the '94 strike.
Like I said, I'm excited to see Vlad come up. I've been bitching at the Blue Jays for quite some time to bring this guy up, and I know it's a money thing, and if they bring him up early, then they gotta fucking pay him and blah blah blah. You got all the money in the world. You're a shitty franchise anyways. You treat your players horribly, like everybody that's ever played for you has said. Bring the kid up. He deserves to play in the major leagues. A guy like this, in the numbers he's putting up, I mean, interviewers are asking him, why do you think you're not in the major leagues yet? And his response, literally, and I quote, was, I don't know. I know I'm ready. So, like, you got a guy hitting over 400 in just pummeling home runs in AAA, and he's just sitting there because you're too greedy. Bring him up. Let him light this place on fire. And let him kick some ass. I'm excited to see him. And when he does kick ass, I'm buying a fucking jersey because he's cool.
Yeah, he's gonna tear the Yankees up for a while, but that's okay.
Who's
Yeah.
looking like they're not tearing up the Yankees right now? The Boston Red Sox, because the
Ooh,
Yankees took the
yeah.
first two this season, and the Red Sox are just not looking right. And unlike the Yankees, they are healthy. They're not missing anybody except for Nate Eovaldi. Just went on the IL for 4 to 6 weeks with I believe an elbow injury. But
He's getting surgery today. Actually, he most likely received surgery already. To remove loose bodies in his right elbow. I'm assuming he's got some like bone chips or
that's
something
right,
floating
loose
around in there.
bodies.
So, I mean, what kind of time frame is on a loose body surgery?
I don't think he's gonna be out that long.
Yeah, probably not.
I could be wrong, but
Well, either way, he wasn't pitching well prior to going on the injured list, although maybe it was because of these loose bodies. But the Red Sox really have issues with their entire pitching staff is just abysmal. I think the offense has taken a little bit too much flack because Mookie Betts, I mean, listen, we know that there's the expectation that he's going to be one of the best players in baseball because that's the reputation he's carved for himself. But if he's not amazing in April, it happens. It happens that way.
Yeah.
Xander's doing well. JD's doing well. They're
Chris
not.
Sale sucks.
That's the thing. Their entire pitching staff, from the starters to the bullpen, they cannot stop a friggin' nosebleed, and that's why at recording time they're 9-14, potentially 9-15 because they're losing to the Detroit Tigers in the second game of a doubleheader. But yeah,
so
man.
What you're telling me is take the Yankees pitching staff and put it with the Red Sox lineup and we'll win the World Series.
I mean, I'd take the Yankees backup lineup's okay right now, but
I know, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But there is no time frame on Eovaldi. However, when he had this similar procedure in 2018 with the Rays, he missed 2 months' time. So just as a heads up of a potential loss for Eovaldi. But yeah, the Red Sox are not looking fantastic right now. I said this last week. They'll turn it around. They're the Red Sox. They have a great lineup. They have a great rotation. Once Chris Sale gets going and Eovaldi comes back, and their pitching rotation can actually kick it back into gear, they'll be fine. They're the Red Sox, and I'm gonna hate them just as much as I always do.
Let's spitball here for a second. I'm sure you guys heard David Price's comments a couple days ago, saying if they don't get this ship turned around, he believes Mookie Betts and JD Martinez could be on the trade block. I don't believe Betts for a second. JD Martinez, that actually makes a little bit of sense because he can opt out of his contract at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But he's still very good.
Oh, he's fantastic, and I'm sure there's some kind of no trade clause built into his contract.
I don't think so.
I would imagine
JD
most
could
of them have
potentially
these
make
nowadays.
somebody very, very happy. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yankees.
No,
it would never happen.
He would never come to the Yankees, but I mean, anybody in contention of a playoff run could use a guy like JD. And you're right. If he can opt out of his contract and he sees that all these guys are hurt and they're not playing well and they're in this hangover stage and he doesn't think that even next year they could pick it up, he opts out. And now where you at? You're at a free agent when you had a guy that you could potentially either get a couple really good prospects for or even a couple of half-assed players for. And still a couple of prospects. I mean, he's worth a lot to a lot of teams, and I think in the right situation come July, if the Red Sox are in the position that they're in currently come July, I think JD Martinez moves.
He got them a ring. He was a big factor in the World Series championship. So
yeah, exactly.
He'll still be loved in Boston.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's just a guy due to his age. Like he's someone that you just have for a short
He's a
period of time.
mercenary. Yeah, he's a mercenary.
Betts, I'll be stunned if by the end of even this season he's not locked up to a 8 to 10 year contract.
There's no reason not to, especially with the trend of people signing guys and extending guys. Speaking of giant, go ahead.
I was going to say trading JD for pitching prospects potentially makes a lot of sense just because the Red Sox, I believe, have the worst graded farm system in baseball.
Absolutely.
And just with their pitching stuff, I mean, I know it's early, and I do expect them to turn around to an extent, but I don't think it's totally out of the question to say that the Red Sox might finish in the mid 80s this year. I don't know if they have the. It's really like their starting rotation. Yes, David Price, we like to make fun of him, but he also is talented enough to go on hot streaks, and I expect that he will go on one at some point. And Rick Porcello can be carried, And Chris Sale is not his old self, but today he actually had a good start. He was just let down by the bullpen. But that leads me to the next point. The Red Sox bullpen is so thin these days that, I mean, they can't be trusted to hold a lead. They can't be trusted to hold a tie. And it could be the downfall of this team. I mean, it says a lot that Craig Kimbrell must have really wanted a lot of money for them to not offer him anything, considering they didn't replace him in any capacity and they're so thin.
Yeah, that's been their biggest problem, was not replacing him at all. There's nobody in that pen they can turn to and be like, all right, you're going to get us 3 outs, so we're going to get back on the sticks. They're going through a tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of big contracts and, their impacts on teams, we've talked about Bryce Harper a lot, but just a small little note. I've had arguments with people about the money people or baseball players are getting per contracts or per extensions, and whether the money that they're getting is worth their service, if you will. In the Phillies' attendance per home games, and correct me if I'm wrong, has spiked to 12,000 more fans in attendance per game this year than in years past. And I'm contributing that one to, I'm going to say all of the moves they made because they are a legitimate contender right now. But I would say 80% of that spike is because of Bryce Harper. And the money that he got is obviously astronomical, but the proof is in the pudding right there, so just to I guess touch on a little bit of the contract talk, if you will. I think the money that people are getting is worth it to an extent.
These guys play 162 games a year,
which is
Bryce Harper is filling that stadium 81 times a year.
Yeah.
NBA, it would be half that. NHL, half that. Football,
16 times.
Yeah,
so 8 home games, maybe 9, depending on how his schedule works.
Exactly. And that is why baseball players get paid what they do. The elite players get paid what they do.
Correct.
You can't argue with it. They are worth that money because you make that money back so fast on top of all. You got to remember RSNs, local TV deals, radio deals,
jersey sales, T-shirt sales,
sponsorships,
bars around the rest, bars around the stadiums themselves.
Believe me, like I argued, I want to say 2 weeks ago, Trout is underpaid.
I mean, he's still got a fuck ton of money, man.
He got a fuck ton, but Angels also got a steal.
Relative to revenue and other contracts. I mean, that's what you have to look at, unfortunately. Trout, because Trout does deserve to be far and away the highest paid player in the game right now. I mean,
absolutely.
He's shown twice as much as what I think Bryce Harper has shown. So it's like, hey, if Harper gets 325, then Trout should get at least 500, right?
Yeah, maybe he was just willing to take that, knowing that it's still a shit ton of money. He's going to get what he wants out of it, and they'll still have money to use for other guys.
There you go. I mean, it worked out great when they signed.
He seems like a relatively humble guy. So
Miss my sarcasm. Miss my sarcasm right there. But
sorry. But yeah, no. So I mean, regardless, I just wanted to touch on the fact that the Phillies have 12,000 more asses in seats per home game than they did in years past, and I believe that again is partially because of the team being very good as a whole, but also mainly because of the Bryce Harper signing. So
absolutely.
Listen,
it's 10:08. Yankees start in now. I'm ready to.
Seems like a good time to.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm ready to go home, watch some Yankees baseball, and get to bed. I got work in the morning.
Yeah, fair enough. Seems like a good time to. Jared, what do we do?
We hang up.
Thanks, guys.
Called to the Bullpen Podcast. We love you.
That's it. Bye.